The NHL season has come to a close. We now have back-to-back champions. The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup for the second consecutive year. Today we're going to recap what happened in this championship series, discuss the Conn Smythe Trophy, where did the Oilers fall short, and just why are those Panthers so darn good. We'll discuss that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. I'm sure you've heard the news or watched it yourself, but the Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, winning tonight in Game 6 over the Edmonton Oilers. Once again, they scored the first goal. They had a multi-goal lead by the end of the first period. And the Oilers, even though I think for the most part, I think it's fair to say they played better than they did in Game 5, they just really couldn't get anything going. The Florida Panthers continued to shut them down, and when they did get through, Bobrovsky was there for the big save. They ultimately ended up getting up, multiple goal leads into the third period. The Oilers had to pull the first time they pulled Skinner was like 7 minutes left. Gave up one empty netter, which made it, I believe, 4-0, and then they ended up giving another empty netter to make it 5. They did get one little fluky one there at the end to get on the board to end the shutout streak, but ultimately the Panthers were just too much for Edmonton for a second consecutive year. Bobrovsky was consistent, and you always knew what you were getting. Like I said, when the Panthers had a breakdown or made a mistake, most of the time he bailed them out. The Oilers did not get that. Stuart Skinner, I feel for him. I know he seems like a really good dude. He just wasn't good enough. And I don't know that the Oilers can go into another season and say, yeah, we've got goaltending that we're comfortable with. We're not going to address it. Like, you need to have better goaltending, more consistent goaltending. I'm not sure. Maybe because of the cap, I don't think he can keep Skinner and maybe bring in somebody else to work with him. I don't know how this works, and I'm not putting it all on him. Ultimately, the big guns here, Draisaitl and McDavid, in the last couple of games, they had phenomenal playoffs. Look at their playoff stats over their careers. Even this year, last year, the numbers are phenomenal, through the roof. But again, in Game 7 last year, and then in Game 5 and 6 in this series, the Panthers were able to shut them down. Very little there, and not only that, but they were on the ice for a lot of goals against too. But at the end of the day, this is a team game, and the Panthers just were getting more out of their depth, and they get a smothering style of defense. The forecheck is always coming at you, and then you get the solid goaltending. It's just so hard to beat this team, and they just never stop coming at you. So the better team won the cup for the second consecutive year. I'm sure the Oilers, and I feel for McDavid, for a player that's so good and be so close, the consecutive years, it's got to be extremely painful. But if you're Edmonton, like I said, I think a couple of things is the goaltending was not good enough. Oftentimes giving up goals early, especially. They were outscored so badly in the first period. And when you're trailing for that much of the series and you're always coming from behind, it's exhausting. By the time we get to tonight's game, I felt like McDavid and Draisaitl looked like they were frustrated and out of gas. I just think I wouldn't say they quit, but I would say that by the time we got to even halfway through the third, when it was still a chance, even though it was shrinking, but there was still a chance they could come back, I just felt like they didn't have it. The tank was empty. They were smothered and put to sleep, by this Panther team. I just think they lost faith. They lost hope. And earlier in the playoffs, getting to this point in the other 3 series to get through the Western Conference, the Edmonton depth was huge. Their depth was better than the Dallas team's depth. And looking at the other series in LA, and that's how they got through those teams, is they were deeper teams. But against Florida, their depth went quietly away, couldn't get anything done, and the Panther depth came through. That third line of Marchand, Lundell, Luostarinen, was phenomenal. They did the bulk of the big moments and goals early on in the series. Reinhart had a huge night tonight, back-to-back years winning scoring the cup-winning goal. It's just they're just so deep, It's just that simple. the Panthers just can't be stopped. Sam Bennett wins the Conn Smythe Trophy, deservingly. Wins the after leading the most goals here in the playoffs. You could have made an argument, I think, for Sergei Bobrovsky as well. I don't think they're there without him. To some degree, I think Brad Marchand is definitely in that conversation as well. I think Bennett obviously I would have given him a small nudge ahead of Marchand. I mean, he might go down as being the best trade deadline acquisition ever. I mean, not only did they win the cup with what they picked up at the deadline, but look how well he performed. Seth Jones, a lot of us shook our heads when they made that trade, and look how well he's played for them. Are any of these guys that are UFAs going to end up leaving Florida between Bennett, Marchand, Ekblad? They may not realistically be able to keep them all unless they all take discounts, which I don't see happening. But, why would you want to leave, right? You've got the beautiful weather, the beaches, the organization who's put together this team that, I don't know how many more cups they're going to win, but they are going to be in contention for a while. The only real question around this team in the fairly near future is going to be Bobrovsky. He's got one more year in his contract. He's getting in towards his later 30s. Will he continue to play beyond that? Or do they look to the next goalie after that? Who would that be? There's no clear, obvious answer in the organization anymore after trading Spencer Knight. So that could be a question for them in a few years. But, at the end of the day, the Oilers need to look at the goaltending. The D-core made way too many mistakes. Ekholm can't be right. He's got to be more hurt than we know. Hyman was a huge loss for the Oilers. So they definitely have adjustments they have to make to come back again. There's just no doubt. The Edmonton Oilers might have been a better team this year, but the Panthers were better, and I think they improved by an even bigger margin. As much as we thought the Panthers were good last year. But look at how close they were last year and this year to getting out early in the playoffs. 2 years ago when they won their first cup, they darn near lost in the first round. The Bruins had them on the ropes. I mean, Marchand had missed that breakaway right at the end of regulation. And if he would have scored on Bobrovsky, they would have been out in round one. Boston would have went on to round two. And instead, Bobrovsky makes a save. The Panthers win in overtime, and then they win the next couple games to win 3 straight and take the series in 7. They go on to win the cup. This year they darn near lost to the Leafs. I don't know. Makes you think some of the teams in the East, besides the Panthers, might be some of the strongest teams in the game. Outside of a couple of the top Western teams, it's like Tampa, Toronto, Florida. Even looking even further down the list, Boston, Ottawa, are they all better than the Metro? To some degree, makes you kind of wonder. We'll have to wait and see. Be interesting to see how the next couple of years go. Because there's the Atlantic teams are that whole division is just getting stronger. We saw Ottawa and Montreal come up in the playoffs this year. The Bruins, I expect, are going to bounce back. I don't know what the Sabres and the Red Wings are going to do, but there's easily 5 teams in that division that could be playoff teams again next year. And if they all find ways to try to continue to get better, it's going to be, the Panthers are obviously back-to-back champions. They're going to probably be the favorites to come out of it again, but, they're going to it's going to continuously get tougher and tougher and tougher. So here we are, the Panthers, back-to-back champions. Bennett's the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. The Oilers, McDavid and Draisaitl got more pain, more hurt to go through, more questions. And now that we have the Panthers with a lot of questions too, what are they going to have together for next year? Matthew Tkachuk also revealed his injury, that he had a torn adductor muscle, and it was torn right off the bone, he said. Plus, he had a hernia on the same side. And this guy's on the ice playing. What? Makes me wonder if he's going to need surgery and if he's going to be out for an extended time. Are they going to be banged up to the point that he can't play for a chunk of next year? Makes you wonder. We'll have to wait and get further of those details here as the offseason continues on. But now that these games are done, of course, if you follow this channel, we talk a lot about the offseason speculation around UFAs and trade rumors and all that kind of stuff. That's probably going to be ramping up even more because now we're going to finally get to the point where we're going to get a lot more activity. The buyout window is going to open now 48 hours after the cup is open. So Tuesday night. So we're going to have the buyout window open here by the end of the week. So we could see some activity there. Then we're going to get ready for the draft and free agency. It's going to get real hectic here in the news cycle. So stay tuned. We're probably looking at probably 3 videos a day or something crazy for the next few weeks, but it's all right. That's what we do. We're up for it here, so stay tuned to the channel. We'll keep you up to date on everything, and hope you enjoy the Stanley Cup final. Let me know your thoughts on if you think Florida can go at it again for a third straight year, or fourth year in the final and third championship. Because to me, you don't have a dynasty till you win 3. So are they going to be a dynasty? Can the Oilers come back, and what changes do they need to make? It's been a crazy season, but certainly a fun one all in all. And now we look forward to the silly part of the season where we get all kinds of crazy contract signings, trades, and all these teams trying to play, copycat here, trying to figure out how they can become the next Florida Panthers team to win the Stanley Cup. So, again, thanks for your support. Thanks for following along all year. And now we look forward to all of the offseason speculation. So stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the ongoings here of the offseason. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.